I had to call the police on a parent.
You said the other day?
Yeah, so we played.
Just heard about it, got no details.
Okay, so Saturday. I didn't say this to you before, just this morning.
I heard about it half an hour ago.
Awesome, amazing.
When Mac was here.
I'm excited. So I'll get your real time reaction. So play the game. We won. So you know how like on the far side you have to kind of walk down that back hallway to get to where the benches are. So I'm walking back, and I get to the hallway, and there's a parent just screaming down the hallway at the refs that are trying to go into the room. And like the ref supervisor person was there. So they were kind of going at it a little bit back and forth yelling. So I kind of walked into the yelling fest already happening. Right. So the refs go in, and the guy that was the supervisor of the refs was like giving it back to the guy, but like trying to like de-escalate it a little bit. And he was like have a nice trip home, like whatever, and like went to go into the dressing room. And so I had stopped to try, like, if something were to happen, to be able to like stop the madness. So I'm just standing there. The refs go into their dressing room, whatever. The dad's still standing there fuming. And so as the refs walking into the room, he starts like not appropriate comments coming out. The whole thing was not appropriate, but he like escalated the verbiage to beyond what was okay. Like, okay, dude, like, that's it. Like, we're good. It's over. They went in. We're good. So then he looks at me and he goes, no, no, I said that's enough. Like, I was like, it's enough, man. Like, we're good. Done. He's like, no, it's not enough. And he like he's looking to keep going, eh? He just wants to keep going. So I'm like, no, like, it's enough. Like, we're done. Like, it's good. Like, take a walk, man. It's over. And he goes, or what? And he starts unzipping his jacket like he wants to fight. Like, goes to take his jacket off to me. So I'm like, well, in my head, I'm going like the one of two ways, right? So I said to him, he's like, or what? Like, what are you gonna do? Whatever. And I'm like, nothing, man. I'm gonna call the cops. Like, I'm not gonna do anything. So he goes, go ahead, call him. So I called the cops, had the conversation with the cops on the phone, right with the guy, meet you away, like saying, yeah, like, X amount tall, this is what he's wearing. No, he doesn't have any weapons, like whatever. So the police had to come to the rink. So he was hanging around. And then once I called the cops and like I was no longer engaging, he like wandered off, and then I think he ended up leaving. And then one of the other parents from that team was just like, hey, he's gone, like, you don't gotta worry about it, whatever. And at like one point when like he was talking to me back, like one of the kids in the game got hurt. And I think maybe that was what it was about. Maybe he thought the ref should have called something or whatever. And so he was saying to me like, well, you're just okay with like the kid has to go to the hospital. You're just okay with that? I'm like, no, like that's not even what we're talking about. I'm like, you're cussing out these refs and these people and talking like an idiot and threatening and wanting to fight. It's like, we can't, there's kids around, man. Like, what's wrong with you? So anyways, this is right on the back of our episode last weekend where we were talking about just like the parent behavior at the rink. And like, this is the actual shit that is going on, man. And it like, I cannot for the life of me put myself in a position where that behavior would be something that I would do ever, you know? So anyways, the guy ended up leaving. The cops, I hung around for probably like 20 minutes, and then the cops showed up and they called me looking around to find the guy. But I was like, he's from out of town. Like,
so did the parents give him up, or do you think they
no?
I
think they just left.
Okay,
and like,
so
it wasn't. And
so it's a waste of time for the police to come here.
Total waste of time. Complete waste of time. And like, I wasn't actually gonna call the cops until he tried to call my bluff. And like, he's taking his coat off. It's like, I'm not fighting you, dude. Like, what's wrong with you? Right?
Imagine if this is like totally outside of what happened. But like, you are moving pretty good in jiu-jitsu. Like, people don't think of that side either.
Yeah,
right?
You don't want this smoke, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
maybe he's got like a triple black belt.
Yeah, maybe he's a badass. Who knows? But whatever. Nonetheless,
I digress.
Yeah, but it's funny. Just like, again, it's the parent behavior, and like this kind of, before I have like a couple things I want to talk about today, and this kind of tails into my first one. We were just having a conversation today, and one of the guys that we know that works kind of within youth hockey, he was kind of saying today, like, yeah, this will, like, it'll probably be my last year, like, in youth hockey. Like, It's like,
Are we moving on already?
a little. Well, do you want to
Okay,
keep going?
all I want to say is, like,
Okay, go ahead.
when you go to that, when you, like, I have no words for that guy's behavior, right? Like, it's, what can you explain, like, the hit or the injury? Is that's what you think got him all upset?
I think so. So like I didn't actually see the hit, so I don't know what happened, but a kid stayed down and it was like it might have been one of those plays where like he got clipped or something like that. And so the kid stayed on the ice for a minute, whatever, and then got off and like he was okay. Like right? And maybe he got a concussion. I don't know. Like I don't know what happened after that. But like he got up and got off the ice and like whatever, right? And that happens in the game and there was nothing crazy dirty that I saw or that was brought to my attention. I didn't see a video of a really dirty hit. Like, so there, even if that did happen, I don't think it would warrant that behavior. And I don't even think that happened. But regardless, and I don't even think it was his kid. So it wasn't even that parent's child from what I could tell.
Okay, so you've seen this at several games, and I was just like, we were watching my kid play in Saginaw the other day, and it's amazing how a home team, like whatever, if you cheer for your team, let's say, if I cheer for your team and you hit somebody hard, KO, like the whole bit, it's like sick, awesome cheering. If I hit you, if you get hit, it's like the end of the world, bullshit, and they yell at the refs and they go nuts. You see that in youth hockey. I used to hate it when, and I used to sit there and I go like, what planet are you from? A kid gets hit, good and clean, part of the game. And it's okay to cheer like good hit and stuff like that, right? Like it's fine. This is what I said about like some people never punched in the head. Like a good hit is a good hit, that's fine. But it's not like you get up and you cheer like it's like, especially in youth hockey, and you go absolutely nuts like and laugh almost at the situation. But then when it gets reversed, or anytime one of your guys get hit a little bit hard, they freak out on the refs and stuff like that. It makes no sense to me. That's what I'm saying about like some people have never been punched in the face, because if you actually understood combat, the art of war, right, or the competition, boxing, like as much as you want to be happy for winning, like let's say a boxing match or a hockey fight. When my son gets in a fight, of course I want him to win the fight. Like I'm being 1,000% honest here. I want him to win the fights, or I don't want him to lose. So, and I guess that's probably the best way to say it. Don't want him to lose and win. But I sincerely don't want him. Say this to my wife, say it to everybody, because he hits hard. I don't want him to crack someone and they go tits up,
Yeah, right.
looking
Yeah.
at the lights, waking up,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, you don't want to
I
actually
don't
hurt
want
someone.
that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't cheer for it. I'd be happier that he was on that side of it. But the other side is I don't want him to be on the other side of that. So when you throw yourself out there, right? It's like when you yap all the time, like it's just better to be quiet, because then no one knows, right? So like, and when it comes to the hitting, you got guys on teams that are big hitters, and it's great. But I want my son, and I want, anyone I teach, like I want them to be on the winning end. I do. But I don't want them to hurt people. Like it's a violent game. I don't want to say like it in a soft way at all, but I don't want someone to actually get destroyed by someone and cheer it like it's the greatest thing, because it comes back. So I do, if I could use Bjorn would love this. If I could use the word pray, right? If I could say a prayer, and all things being equal, at the end of the day, a good hit's a good hit without someone getting hurt. Both ways, that's exactly what I would want. Just good competition, right? But I don't want. I wouldn't cheer for one kid on the Guelph Storm to absolutely knock someone out. I would never do that, and because I don't want it to happen to them.
And I think that comes from experience, to your point of like, if you've been hurt or you've been on the receiving end of that, or you've been around when that's happened to somebody, like you actually see how, so like even for us, well, and it's like, even for me, like when I go to train and like guys get hurt, like their knee gets all mangled or their ankle gets all mangled or their arm gets ripped off or whatever. And it's like, they're out for like months like it affects their life, it affects their job, it affects their family, right? And like you see the actual results of when people seriously get hurt. And so you don't want that stuff to happen. And but in this example, it's like that wasn't what happened. And then to your point about like the cheering for it, I'm very sure based on the behavior of this person, had it been the other way,
Would have been
it
fine.
would have been you. It would,
Toughen up.
yeah, toughen up. That was
Toughen
a
up.
clean hit,
Clean
like
hit.
whatever. Right?
That's exactly my point.
Yeah,
You
right.
summed it up in 3 words.
Yeah, there you go.
It was a good hit.
Yeah,
3 words.
So, anyways,
But anyways, let me just go
Yeah.
on one more tangent. It's like I don't understand that person ever, and to freak out like that is like it makes no sense. And the problem though, is I'm not saying it's a hockey parent problem, or you just see ridiculous behavior like this all over the place. The hockey rink definitely brings it out. I've always said this, like yelling at refs. It's like yelling at players. I watch, and you say this a lot too when you go watch an OHL game. It's like people treat it like these guys are, because when you watch them play hockey, it's very high level hockey. The show that goes on and stuff, you think that they're important people, right? Like as far as the hockey world, they've reached a really elite level of hockey. And people's expectations and what they want from them and how they yell at them or autographs and treat them, it's like you'd think that they're only kids. Like when and you might not think a 20-year-old's a kid, but it's such a very young person still. And the way people yell and scream and freak out is crazy. Now you take that to a ref. I mean, there's games where I watch a game and I go like, I don't understand. Like the reffing can be so bad sometimes. Like change the outcomes of games and all that. And at the, let's say at the OHL level, it's one thing because people do get paid very well, and people feel like they have the right to yell. And let's say that's fine. But at the end of the day, they're still fairly some of them are young guys still. But in youth hockey, I can't, man. I don't think there's a ton of people out there that are really vindictive, that want your team to lose and want kids to hurt, and they're cheating. Like people say that, oh yeah, home refs. It's like most home refs aren't from home.
Yeah, and they
Right?
literally don't
They
care.
don't care
They don't care.
if Windsor
They're
beats
trying to make
London,
their
London
$100,
beats
man.
Windsor. Exactly. Like it's just like that behavior and that thought pattern of the people that go there. It's like I don't know if you've ever played sports, and if you did, it's like wow, you must have missed something. You missed the concept of this whole thing. It's embarrassing, man. And then look at that side. If
So embarrassing.
I would not
So
want to walk
embarrassing.
around with my son, my daughter, grandkids. We got grandkids now, 3. They're cute though. Love them. Embarrassing them, right? You know what I mean? Walk around losing your shit, foaming at the mouth, showing how tough you are, but you're not.
When even like the other parents too, like we had another one earlier this year where we were staying at the same hotel as another team, and one of the dads on this team was like beaking at Jake a little bit, like in the lobby of the hotel. Yeah, and like about the program, like about how much better their program is and whatever, and like it was a guy
How
we
much better theirs was?
Yeah, like and it's a guy and their program was pretty good, but nonetheless, yeah, the rest of the parents are like, man, like this guy's like, we're sorry that you guys have to deal with this guy, right? Like he'll settle down and go away soon, whatever, right? And it's just embarrassing for the other parents, man. Like, let alone the kids and all that shit,
So I told you this story before, and one of the guys that works for us, his dad was involved, right? So there was a incident that happened when my kid was playing minor bantam, I believe, minor bantam, and the parents were yapping, and I was standing around one of the dads, and I just said, just ignore it. They're idiots, man. And he's a different guy, like, right? This guy was a different guy, and he had to say something, but he wasn't being mean. But whatever, none of this stuff. I said, just shut your mouth. Just don't talk. So they came out, and it was a match, and the one guy called this guy's kid, well, your kid's a piece of shit. And then he lost it. Like he took it literally. I'm like, relax, man. Anyways, I didn't break it up because I personally love it.
Yeah.
I personally love
the
it.
entertainment value.
Yeah, it's like this is where we go at a hockey game for 14-year-olds. And then the following year, there's a dad on our team who was at this rink. beacon off at one of the coaches, and he's hammered, right? So in between, I was having a beer up in the bar, and he was there, and he was saying all the stuff he said. I said, "Dude, I love it." I said, "I love it." I said, "But I want to be clear about something, okay?" I said, "I'm not stepping in no matter what, not at a hockey rink."
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
So he goes, "No, no, it's good." I said, "No, no, no, no. I want you to really understand something here. If someone has you by the ears and is smacking your head off of the concrete and your brains are leaking out your head," I said, "I'm not stepping in. Just so you know, because this is all on you."
Yeah. Right.
And he goes, "Oh," so and then after the game, right in front of his kid, he antagonized so much, followed a guy out to the parking lot. The guy said, "Well, I have to now. I have to do something," and beat the piss out of him in front of his kid.
Unreal. I remember that story, man. That's so funny.
But I'm like, I will not get involved in that. Like, there's no chance. I'm walking at my son's hockey rink. Like, I don't want to get in a fight, anyways, right? I'm not walking out at a hockey rink and making a spectacle of myself. I'm not participating in this in any way.
Yeah. Well, dude,
You
there's
can
like,
walk away.
but think. That's what was going through my head.
It's not. It doesn't make you not.
I was like,
tough.
I know, but I'm right here down the hallway. I'm standing there. I'm just like, I'm not fighting you, man. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, are you out of your mind? There are families and kids and people, and we could actually get in shit for it. Like in real life, it could affect my job. It could affect your job. It could affect your life actually by doing that. What is wrong with you? You know. But I'm so this this is gonna play back into my point at the end. But I'm gonna move on to the next thing, and then I'm gonna bring it back at the end, and it'll be like a full circle moment, as they say. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is a little bit about like youth hockey coaching, because this is happening right now, where like we have, the different organizations have announced their coaches, and like different guys have taken different teams, and there's different quality of coaches in different places, and I get I have a point somewhere in here, but you're gonna have to try to help me find it. Yeah, right. Um, I guess the expectations on what you're gonna get out of a coach in youth hockey, based on what they are actually able to do for that team. So let me elaborate a little bit. Typically in the youth hockey setting, unless you're very fortunate or you have somebody rich that's willing to pay for somebody that's a professional coach or something, most youth hockey organizations are either going to get volunteers, or they're going to get parents, or they're going to get somebody for like a little bit of money that like lives around locally and probably used to play hockey a little bit or something in that realm. True? Most. Is that fair? And then the exceptions are what I just said. If you have somebody who owns a team that's rich, willing to pay for a better coach to bring somebody in, and like actually
a lot of AAA organizations now
right, they do some of that stuff, right?
Yeah. I would say most AAA organizations that are bigger centers are paying their coaches very well.
You think very well?
Well, I'm not saying they're making $7 billion.
Like I would say under 30 grand.
No, I'd say more.
So like, okay, let's do it this way. How many of them do you think like that's their full-time job is to coach?
Some, yeah.
Like, do you have a percentage in mind?
No, I can't. I wouldn't be close. I could be way off. I'm just guessing. I just know that a good, like I wouldn't think if you made $100 grand living in Toronto that you're living well. So I would say it's probably not a full-time thing.
So my I guess my context, I'll say like for our area, the vast majority of the youth coaches have another job. Like coaching is not their full-time job. There's a few exceptions to that, right? Like people like us that are full-time in hockey, and like I'm not full-time because I'm a coach even, but they're not getting paid full-time to coach. Okay. So that is my context for having this conversation. There's some exceptions, whatever. Okay. So if you are bringing somebody in to coach a team and it is not their full-time job, what kind of quality can we expect? Is it reasonable to expect? Is it fair to expect in terms of the person that's doing that job, right? And so when I'm having conversations with a lot of parents, the expectations seem unreasonable. So I'm not saying like the coach has to be a scum of the earth criminal, obviously, but like how good of a coach are you going to get for 10, 15, 20, 25 even 30 grand when that's not their full-time job and they have to focus on their life and their kids and their other job and all these things, right? So and for some situations, like I was talking to one coach and theirs was like fully volunteer, like they don't even get paid at all, right? So I'm having conversations with the parents, and I'm a little bit like discouraged by the lack of understanding that they have of that, or like the lack of recognition of what that means. Like if you're not going to pay somebody 70, 80, 90, 100 grand to come in full time as an adult with coaching experience that understands how to do things the right way and really develop the players and all of this stuff, like where should we put the bar, I guess, is my question, more or less. So I've been thinking a lot about this, because if you want to get a really good quality coach, then guess what you have to do? You have to pay somebody who is a really good quality coach. And that means you're going to have to pay them to get away from the really good quality coaching job that they have somewhere else to come down and coach your stupid youth hockey team, right? So if it's a coach that's really good, they're probably coaching somewhere higher level and making some money. So you have to drag them out of that, pay them to do that, because it's probably their full-time job if they're any good. Are you following my line of thinking?
The problem with this whole conversation, to me, is that there's nothing that will make sense of this. Because if I'm going to say one thing, and I'm saying it on purpose, okay? If I'm going to say my true thoughts on youth hockey, which I'm going to say, is you should have coaches like back in the day, like I'm gonna always go back to Mr. Rose. He was my coach for 4 years. I loved him to death. Okay, Mr. Rose had a son on the team. Of course, why not? Why wouldn't he? Right? And that was a chance for him to spend time with his son. He had assistant coaches that were, as far as I remember, they never had kids on our team. So he had good assistant coaches that loved to be around hockey and coach hockey. Did Mr. Rose get paid? No, like zero. Cost him money to coach, but that's the way hockey used to be. And he took courses, and he wanted to be a really good coach. He was a school teacher. He was not educated like as a math guy, but like not educated like a scholar. I'm not saying that, but he was an educated person. Didn't mind taking a course. He was a fitness freak, so he was a good example for us. If he would have said, "Listen, I need people to offset my expenses," I don't know if he would have even got that support. We're talking when Jesus was a cowboy, right? Like this wasn't recent, right? But he loved coaching, and he gave us everything that he possibly could for zero money and losing money. But his kid was on the team, so let's say that was the thing. I would say that mostly continued for a long time. That you typically would have a parent on the bench. So I think that's typically what happened over the years. You had a dad coaching, and people would always complain about coaches. Of course, Mr. Rose was an idiot for most people too, but he was the best. Like I can say that because he just taught us. He didn't listen, man. Whether he taught me the game of hockey or not, he taught me other things, and it's not really important about the game part, right? We had some. We would play big centers because we had a pretty good team, and we would win. Like we'd beat a lot of the Toronto teams and beat them off in Detroit and all that. And AAA was a little different then, but it wasn't because we were so X and O'd. Just we played and it was all good. So the expectations were, he still played me too much. Of course, he favored other guys, and other guys got screwed. But that'll never go away. So whatever. Somewhere along the line, it was, and I don't even know how many years ago. I think people tell you what you're supposed to expect. I think, right? You see other centers and stuff like that. And I don't know why people got so crazy about hockey or other sports, but along the line, it was becoming acceptable. And I think it was maybe the advent of more clinics that were popping up all over the place. And it was like, this guy's doing this, I got to do that. It's keeping up with the Joneses. And all these things that were not actually necessary became necessary, right? You can't find very many kids that play hockey and parents that believe that they would survive the game of hockey without going to a spring clinic or a weekly skills thing. They just makes no sense to them that could you actually. What do you mean you're not training somewhere? Not the vast majority of people that play don't need training. They just need to play hockey. So there would be people saying, "Yeah, but how do you get better?" It's like I'm talking about like to actually go anywhere, right? You're either good or you're not, and then you put the time in. But anyway, that's another thing. So anyway, as I was saying that, I think I'm just guessing that maybe that was the progression of all of a sudden we need Andy, the skills trainer that knows everything about hockey, even though I don't. I know a lot. Like I know some things, but I got buddies of mine that I played with, like let's say Chitteroni that I ran into 2 weeks ago, and we talked for 3 hours the other day. Anyways, he coached a team, and he was telling me how some of the stuff he did with them, like his positionally. I said, "Yeah, you actually might in some areas coach circles around me," which is because he's a hockey player. But somewhere along the line, your skills coach that can sell you how great he is and can do whatever dangles and stuff like that became the guru of hockey, right? There's so many people down here when I moved down here when I was doing my thing that were like, you're sickest player ever." I'm like, "Well, you've never seen me play though. You're going by how I skate, shoot, and it's skills, man, right?" So you can't say that. You can't say that. But anyways, then this has been the new. Like I think it's like, well, if you coach me, like how much? Because you're already charging. That became acceptable. And when I coached, the first time I ever coached, like not ever coached, but when I coached in the States, that's what it was. I didn't go there and say, "Okay, I want to be a coach and make money on youth teams." I was coaching the bell or skills coach Bell Tire, and I had a whole bunch of U.S. kids. And then one day I made the off the cuff comment, going, "I just love these kids, man. I'd love to coach them." And that was like, "Oh, okay, how much?" And I'm like, "No, I just said I want to coach." But then it was like offers are being made and stuff, and it was like it made sense. Well, because for me to go to Detroit and spend 2 hours of my life, I wasn't doing it for free. It was my business, right? I got hired to do that. So then I guess the logical step for them was to say, "Well, we got to pay him to go." And it was the most uncomfortable thing in the world. I'm like, I can't imagine coaching 14-year-old kids and putting a dollar value on it. I couldn't even come up with that number myself. I said, "You guys have to do it," because now it was, this is my business, and if you would like me to come over here and they convinced me to do it, but if you want me to come over here and coach, like it's now I'm taking away from my business money. Like so, right. So, anyways, I think that was the advent of it makes sense, right? Like that's where coaches started to get paid. So now it went goofy. So, what's your expectations? Like I know this, like I said, I don't know if there's a way to answer this. What are your expectations? Like my true expectations? I'm being 100% honest. When I had my kids growing up in hockey, my expectations of coaches were zero. I hoped that I didn't hope for anything actually. I hoped I hoped that they were good people. Hope they were more of a positive influence on my kids, all my kids' life. That's volleyball, all the sports that they played, hockey, whatever. I hope they were more of a positive influence, and they showed them how to play the sport the best that they can. So when my daughter played volleyball, you hope that she learns how to play volleyball well. When she had track, you hope she's learning how to be a good track athlete, because all this stuff can translate in life. As far as hockey goes, like I didn't expect. You expect, okay, if you're going to take a team, you expect the coach to understand what a breakout is, a forecheck, something that looks like a power play, something that looks like a penalty kill, and something that looks like a little bit of a system, and some organizational, like lines that make a little bit of sense and stuff. You hope for that, but my expectations after that were, and running a decent practice, but that's even asking a lot of times. So my expectations were like really fall, like I mean diddly shit. I didn't have expectations because I come from a hockey background, and most people, especially if you haven't been in even if you've been around hockey a long time, doesn't make you really smart at hockey.
It doesn't
right?
at all.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't at all.
Because like there's some things that I'm just not good at, and it's not that I'm not good at it. It's like I don't have the capacity to put my heart and soul in that piece. Like I like video, when I'm teaching someone, like if I was to take someone, I don't do a lot of that, but if I was to teach someone, I could teach from video. But I'm not a guy clipping things and making that the best. I'd be a horrible video coach, or like really true X and O guy that could just take a game and just that's a different breed than me. So, anyways, from a coaching standpoint, for me, my personal expectations were zero. And then if you got something good, that was great. So, like the team my son got drafted from, his coach Matt, great coach. But what do I mean by that? I always say he was a great coach for that level. He's not an NHL coach. He's not an OHL coach. He's maybe not even a junior coach. I don't know, but he was good for that level. Why? He was good because he had a line that was fun enough to be fun, and the other side where he was strict enough to be strict. So there was a line that you just couldn't cross over too much, but it was like perfect for a 14-year-old kid.
Close, but not too close.
Yeah,
it's good.
Perfect. He knew the game enough to have expectations of working hard and, some systems, face-off plays, like different things to give the kids the tools to play the game, but not too much that it was overthinking. So if you worked hard and you did ABC to the best of your ability, roughly, and and we got a little bit of talent, we'll be pretty good. And they were very good. And it was fun. It was serious. It was fun. It was good. It wasn't great, but I don't mean that in a negative way at all, because he's not DJ Smith. He's not Todd McClellan. He's a youth hockey coach that loves hockey, doesn't have kids on the team, and he eventually gets paid a little bit. Right? Gets paid a little bit because they all pay coaches now. To me, that would be my expectation. The ones that get paid, so I think what people's expectations are is that when you put your son in a sport, you expect that. I think a lot of these people think their coaches are supposed to be as dedicated as the kids, which I don't know if, or as dedicated as the parents would like their kids to be, which I don't think that matches up unless the guy has a goal of being a professional coach. But then you might not like that, because now you might get too honest. You might get the coach being too honest and say, yeah, your kid's not good enough to play and he doesn't play. Like you got to be careful of what you ask for. So I forgot what I was saying there. To pay someone a ton of money, I wanted to go back. So you go back and like your expectations of if you want a coach to be as dedicated or more than you would like your son or daughter to be, then you might be asking a lot, because most people aren't trying to get a job in the National Hockey League or moving up that seriously. So they might enjoy hockey. They might want to give a little. They might look at a power play here and there. They might think they know, but they're going to be very limited. And they have other jobs and they have a life and they have kids. Some of them don't. Some of them just want to do it for a social aspect. I coach some kids. I get drunk with parents. Like the expectations of what you get from a youth hockey coach is like, I think it should be like really toned down. And then you get the you're going to get the teams where you have to pay. Like, so now we have our academy. There's academies out there. Like they are what you call businesses. Good, bad, it doesn't make a difference. I'm not defending anything. I'm not promoting anything. But when you have the business model and people are going there because they want to have better coaching, let's say, should be better coaching. Now the expectations change. True? So you come to name the academy that you go to, or maybe you're in Toronto and you want to play for because they're recruiting, right? There's no borders. The Marlies, this, that, the other thing. Honey Baked in Detroit, Little Caesars. It's a little bit of a different animal, kinda, because it's almost like a business, or maybe it is. But the academies themselves is okay. Now we're in a business. So like when someone chooses to go to an academy, they're saying, okay, I want better coaching. I want more ice time. I want video, like the fitness, all that stuff comes out of it. So as a parent, what are your expectations? Now, I think it's reasonable to have them very high. For sure. So now, if you tell me that, yeah, this coach is he's a really good skills coach, but it's like it doesn't make sense, or he's a really good coach, but he doesn't have the details of the game to present them. It's like now you're spending money, and now you should have expectations. Is what I'm saying. No different than that when you get drafted in the OHL, go to college, go to play pro. Your expectations, the coach knows what the hell he's doing to make me a better player or to win games, right?
Yeah, I think that basically is what it comes down to for me. Is if you have the guy that is the first version where you said youth hockey coach makes whatever 10 to 15 to 20 grand whatever as a stipend more than anything for their time, like, are you expecting a professional coach? And if you're paying a coach, if a coach is getting paid a lot, then that makes sense to have more of an expectation. It's like, yeah, we're paying for this premium product. It should be premium. It shouldn't be the same as the other coaches that we've had or whatever. And I think that is a fair standard to hold. But I guess it's not a realization because I know that this happens, but I'm seeing it more and more of just like, what is the mantra among the parents, or the dialogue among the parents of like, this isn't good enough, this isn't good enough, this isn't good enough, this isn't good enough. I'm like, what do you expect, man? Like I was having a conversation several weeks ago with one group, and they were talking about their coach who's a volunteer saying, we're on the ice this many times a week, we don't do any video, and we only work out once. It's like, your coach is a volunteer, right? There's no money. Like they're not incentivized as any other human being to put more and more and more and more and more into this, right? If they choose to do that, that's very nice that they are choosing to do that. But is it fair for you to expect all those extra things out of them? And this is another like piece of it that I'm talking to is like, even when they're deciding where to go, a lot of times they are looking at the coach for sure, but then it's always about like, who's the rest of the group that we can get to come, you know? And they're trying to like, especially now with this open borders thing, it's like they're trying to construct situations, you know? They have, for sure they've always done it, but now they have the freedom to do it. They don't have to do it sneaky. Now they can just do it, you know? So it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. And so now it's like, okay, like this might be better than this, or this might be better than that. But at the end of the day, it just depends on what is everybody else doing, right? Because it's very important that we're on a really, really good team. And that's another element that we've talked about several times before. Like in the youth hockey loop, obviously, yeah, you don't want to be on a house league team that goes 0-100, but the fact that you're on the best team ever, it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter.
Want to hear it funny?
Yes, I do.
It's not funny though.
Is it gonna piss me off?
I'm thinking no, because it's hindsight, not my hindsight. It's someone else's. So I'm not going to name a name because I don't have their permission to. But really good hockey player, okay, playing junior right now. I'll tell you who it is after. Okay, so we were before a game the other day. I saw this gentleman, and I got to go say hi. I said, you haven't got my number yet. Call me if you ever need anything. All that stuff, right? I said, your son's a good player, man. Said, thank you. I said, no, he's really good, smart. Like I said, he did. Funny thing, he didn't have a clue what I did. He goes, someone told me you have a podcast. So I'd be like, yeah, I have a podcast. I didn't say much about it. He goes, what's it about? I go, it's whatever. I explained a little bit. And he goes, oh, how'd you get into that? I said, well, I was a hockey player at one time, and I trained players. He goes, what do you mean train them? I go, well, like Aaron Ekblad and Zach Cassian and like a lot of like. He goes, oh, really? Like on the ice? I go, yeah. And why would he? He doesn't need to know. So he goes, oh, that's cool. Anyways, we're talking about this thing, and he goes, you know what I found? Because he played at the Toronto, the biggest name in Toronto, right? Biggest team, Marlies. Played for the Marlies. Because, you know, after all these years watching hockey, he goes, I realized that his son is really good. I realized that winning hockey and minor hockey does not matter one bit. And I go, it matters zero. He goes, this guy's an intelligent guy. He goes, I realize it now that I'm at this level. He goes, it means nothing as far as your development goes. All the coaches that got paid, all that stuff. He goes, it means absolutely diddly, like nothing. I go, you're 100% right to the point of this coaching thing.
So, okay.
So you go.
Well, I was going to say, so like when we talk about players in here, and like all of us have conversations with, whether it's guys in the OHL or scouts or agents that are real, and like all this about actual players moving on, Like, is it ever in the conversation of how good was the team they were on, or like where did they what was their record in their draft year, or like how far in the playoffs? Like that's never even a piece of the conversation ever. Like one of our guys scouts for Brampton, never once is he like, hey, like if they don't play in Toronto, like I'm not going to watch them. Like that's not what happens. They're looking for the best players, man. You know, and if you're playing in a sanctioned AAA organization in your draft year, someone at some point is going to watch you. That is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen, man. And so like I listened to the conversation, I talked to the parents, and it's really frustrating because running a program, we have to respond to the feedback. We're dumb if we don't, right? So I have to listen to the parent concerns, and I have to provide some action based on what the parents are asking, but they just don't know. They just don't know, realize, understand, or refuse to believe the reality that even if you're on a very average team, it doesn't matter, man, in terms of the long-term goal of progressing in hockey best you can. You know, if you want to win youth hockey championships and that's your goal, then yeah, okay, you find the best team to play on. That's fine. You know, but in terms of like exposure, and like most of the AAA teams will play in some of the big tournaments. It doesn't necessarily have to be all of them, but if you play in a couple of the big tournaments, like people are going to be there and watching. And almost every single AAA team that I know of in Ontario plays in some of those tournaments, right? So they get caught up. They get caught up on these things, and then it comes back to the coaching thing. You know, it's like mid-season, all of a sudden you sour on your coach, and it's like, what did you think? Right? Like, what did you think?
Well,
like,
the thing is,
think it was John Cooper? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Right?
But the thing is, like, when you look at it, I know people say, but yeah, but good coaching helps. And I'm like, it can. Yes, it can for a period of time. But like when you're talking about should a coach like they only do video once a week, it's like, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of those coaches that if they were to do video with my son, I hope they didn't. What are you actually showing? Because one of the coaches asked me when my kid played, can you come in and maybe you can point something out too? So it was just clips, and then it was like there was no there was only a very small piece of value that were added to him doing the video. There was some, but it was like not as it was like random. Let's get through these real quick. Showing mistakes, whatever. There's other ways to do it, but anyways, it was not that big of a deal. But there's a lot of them I would be like, no, please don't show my kid anything.
When it just checks a box.
But if you're coach, I mean, you are fortunate if you can learn, providing it's correct. If you do learn how to cut off ice, how to angle, how to like learn how to play the game like to a certain degree where it makes habits good, like. It is a good thing because it'll help you develop habits early, but it doesn't mean that those habits are going to translate into junior or whatever else. And it's not the end all be all because things change and everything anyways. But good coaching, what the definition of what is good coaching? That's the other thing, right? Like what is good coaching at the youth level? Is it because if you're X and Oing people to death, is that good? Because maybe those kids just need freedom to play and learn the game.
Okay, so I was having this conversation with a dad a little while back, and they were like, "Yeah, it'd be good if we got this kind of coach or this kind of person." I'm like, you know what it would cost to get that kind of coach? So I'm like, okay, you want that kind of coach? That kind of coach, you have to pull that kind of coach away from their coaching job to come and coach, right? That costs a lot of money, man. Right? You have to replace a full-time adult salary for that, you know? So like what, and for the age, it's like, to your point, is that appropriate? Like, is that necessary? Do you need that? You know, it's great if you can have it, but I guess that's kind of my summary is like not a prescription for anything, but just like where are we putting the bar on these people that we're hiring as youth hockey coaches, right? It's like, it's really challenging. And like, I guess maybe doing my full circle thing and bringing it back. Unless you have anything else to say on that, because I'm gonna.
What I was gonna say is when you're talking earlier about the herd, how some parents have to talk to other parents to find out what other people are doing before they make a decision. They want to go to a good team. It's like I'm not saying this as a jackass and like how do you know what's best for them anyways. But I say that honestly because, as per my conversation with Chitter the other day, because I can't talk to people about hockey because they don't know, because they weren't in the game. And I find the same thing. It's like so hard, but everybody seems just to know everything about everything, but they know nothing about anything. And I don't mean that as a jerk. It's like, but it's true. They don't know what they don't know.
And that's the frustration. Like that's the frustration that I keep running into now. And so like this is gonna bring it home here because I was talking to another guy that works in youth hockey, and he was saying like it'll probably be his last year like coming up that he works in youth hockey because he's like I can't deal with it, man. He's like I can't, and he's a really solid person to have in youth hockey, and like maybe as a just a final thing to the parents, like I'll use myself as an example. This guy's an example. You're an example. Like I like to think we're good people, and we try to positively impact youth sports, right, and youth hockey. And there's a lot of help that needs to be given. There's a lot of support that needs to be had there, and resources that people need to navigate that space. But like the environment makes it really, really challenging for people. I'm going to include myself, whether I'm bragging or whatever. Like I'm going to include myself in this too. Like you make it hard for us to want to hang around in the environment, right? Because whether it's you don't want to listen, you don't want to believe what we're saying, you want to make everything a battle, you want to make everything really challenging, or undercover conversations and whatever you want to call politics and all this kind of bullshit. It's like you make it hard for honest people that want to do a good job to hang around, and that's what I thought of today when I was talking to the one guy. It was like, he's like, yeah, like I can't.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, and like you know what? For everybody that is driving him out of youth hockey, it's too bad.
That's my point,
the
right?
best coach you're probably ever going to have
and
on many, many, many levels.
And this is what you guys want. You want this kind of person. You're asking for this kind of person. You're asking for these kind of people. And they're around trying to help, like trying to input, but you keep driving the good people that want to actually do good out. You keep driving them out, man, because at a certain point, you just want to smash your head through the wall, man, because you have the same conversations. It's the same fights with the same people. It's the same stupidity all the time with no like higher level perspective on where this goes in terms of hockey. It's so unreasonable that you get the few good people that are around that you guys want around, and they are going to want to leave, man. And they ain't going to come back because it's too much, man.
When I coached youth hockey, Detroit was different because I didn't have. It was good. It was good. There was a couple. When I coached in Detroit, it was good. There was a couple little things that it was really good for. Like I can't complain at all. Good people for the most part. Maybe I fooled them. I don't know. I really don't know. But when I coached my kid, and he was 8 and 9 or 9 and 10, and they asked me to coach. I said I had no desire. I said I'm not coaching my kid. And they said, "Come on, man." Just said you'd be great for him. So I said, "Okay, I'll do it," because I had one or two of the dads that they said we'll cover anytime you can't do it, and they were just great. And I was able to teach them a little bit about how to run practices and stuff. It was good. It was very enjoyable. It was enjoyable, but I told you this. I asked them, "Do you want?" It's the parents and the kids. I said, "Would you like to learn about hockey, or do we just want to have fun?" I said I could do both. It doesn't matter. Like it's you guys are 9. You play for, freaking Intercup. Like it's not a real town, right? It's a little town. It doesn't really matter. But anyways, I wanted to make it. No, we want to learn hockey. And the parents like, yeah, can you teach them hockey? I said, okay, great. So I laid it out. Like I said, real simple. Okay, the one thing, and this is the way my life is right now. You don't work hard. I don't like it. You're gonna work hard. That's one thing you're gonna do. There's one thing you can choose. Choose your attitude. You can choose how to work, right? So I treated them fairly, but I was like I pushed because they asked me to. So, and it was never about losing, winning. It was about effort. It was always about effort and paying attention. That's it. Just giving a shit because I'm actually putting time in there. So if I ever got like a little bit heated, it was simply because of that. Effort needs to be better, and your give a shit meter needs to be better. And I can't really say there'd be anything else that would get me going. Near the end of the year, the second year, one guy that was wanted me to coach, that he used to drink beers, he was a wiener anyways. He started, his son wasn't great, and he wasn't on the power. Like, we didn't really have it, but he was getting pissy. Whatever. So at the end of the season, this guy went up to like the coach, to my two assistant coaches, and said, "Hey, thanks for everything." And he just walked by me and gave me the, "I'm not talking to you because I'm mad." I'm like, "Are you kidding me right now?" I've been like, because here's the backstory of it. His kid was not a good hockey player at all, and I took no, and I'm not being a goof. He was no good at all. And I always used to say, "Okay, I'm not going to say his name. Do this, try this, try this." And I would give him all kinds of stuff and spent time. Told him where he was great. "Yeah, you make me laugh, kid. That's awesome." And I was great to that kid. And the dad was like, it's like, off.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But like, oh, you're mad at me for what? And then I was doing at the end of the year, that last year, they were just I told them at the beginning of the year, so you guys, we won everything last year, so this year's gonna be harder. Everyone's gonna be gunning for it. Last year you were you were nobodies. This year you actually are the champs. So like, if you don't come to play, it's gonna be hard. So expectations are blah 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 blah. So we're going near the final week or two, like the OHF tournament or whatever it was, and the practice was like, it was so bad. It was so bad. So I pulled him in, and it was 3 times. I told Matt, because I would check with Matt, but he was a great guy. He was my assistant coach. I said, "Is it me?" He goes, "No, I'm losing my shit right now." I said, "Okay." So there's only one way to handle this at this point. I said, "Guys, you don't want to pay attention." I said, but we have the ice for another 20 minutes or so. I said, "So I'm done trying. You guys can decide how hard this is going to be." So I said, "Just get on the red line." And I think I might have been like 3 down and back so far. Like, they're 10. I'm not begging them.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to die. I've not actually proven a point. My true honest thing is, I am not going to try to fix a drill, teach a drill, because you guys don't want it, but I have to be here. So I'm giving you as much thought pattern you've given this, as much thought you've given to this practice, I'm going to give back. Go on the line, and the white line down and back. So we got to about 3 of them, and one of the moms comes down just losing it. And she comes down to the bench, and she looks at me through the side with her glasses. You know, she can burn bugs with these son of a bitches. And she looks at me, she goes, can he at least have his puffer? I'm like, give him his puffer. I don't give a shit. But like, it wasn't torture.
Right.
It was 3 laps. And it's abuse now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have zero. I don't have any time for this.
Oh, no
shit.
kidding, man.
And you know, but it reminds me of this morning. We had my development group out there, and there's a couple older, like 16, 15-year-old girls, and mixed in with that age group of boys. And they're great. I love working with them. But today, they were not today bad, but like, they could do better. They could just do better. And it wasn't about executing this skill drill that means nothing as far as the drill goes. That would make me upset. And I wasn't upset at all, nothing, but I just pointed something out. I said the effort for, like, I was showing them, one part of the drill was you had to come around with a little bit of speed and do a drop pass. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So the effort to put in the drop pass was like, I said, I'm gonna exaggerate, but I'm not. So when you guys went to do a drop pass, the puck's going forward, so it's not a drop pass. So you're missing the point of this when you're picking up the other puck. So, but it's taking you more effort to do it wrong than to do it right, because you're going there, and I can see it in your face. Just going, it's just like, I don't want to. I'm just gonna. It's too hard to just leave it, right? So my point to that wasn't about the skills. It was about this. I said, once they started getting it right, I said, because you paid attention to it. So when you're doing a drill, like, I called them in, I said, "Okay, was that better?" They go, "Yeah." I said, "Why?" Don't know. I said, "Because you focused. You chose something. You chose to do it right. That's all." I said, "So this is the thing. Every day when you get up, come out here. You can't walk in here and wait for someone else to get you going. You are going to walk in, and you're either going to set the tone. Don't wait for me to motivate you and say, let's do it right today, or someone else to be good so that you can be good. Just walk in every day and choose." And that's something that you can do every day. You can choose your attitude. You could choose how you're going to work, and you could choose to do it right. And that's the most important thing about all of this. So my point to that was, as a coach, that's what I want from my coach, is to remind my son or daughter or parents, whoever, that it's not about winning. Winning is good. It's about what you put into it on a daily basis. And it's about the choice that you have to make. So do I want my son or my kids to learn hockey inside out from the coach that is coaching peewee or 10-year-olds? Or do I want that coach to be able to deliver a message of saying, you get to choose how this day is going to go. You get to choose your effort. You get to choose how you're going to do the drill. You're going to choose how to treat other people, because that's actually life. And then if they happen to be good hockey players and they move on, that message hopefully has stuck into the gray matter, that when they get up, 6 inches between the ears, that they can get up and look at themselves and remember Coach Eric just kept saying, why am I miserable? I get to choose to be this today. I get to choose my attitude, and that sticks. That will give that kid a chance in life and a chance in hockey. More than any breakout play or system or X's and O's will ever do. That's my expectation of a coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that all sounds great. And it's unfortunate that I get just like I said, talking with this other guy and then some of these conversations, it's like try to not make it difficult for good people to want to hang around and influence the kids, because then what are you left with? Right? Here's the example. How many good teachers do you remember having? How many good coaches do you remember having through all of your youth? On one hand, you can count them, right? Same with me. I got 1 or 2 teachers, 1 coach, maybe 2. If I count you, maybe 2, right? Not bad, right? Outside of that, it's very few and far between that your kids are going to come across actual impactful, good people that really positively impact them, not just neutral, because there's a lot of neutral, right? Like if I think back on my teachers, it's, for example, like through school, it's not that they were bad, but there was just nothing about them that stands out, was memorable, where I really feel like they taught me something, totally vanilla. That's going to be mostly what you get. So when you have some of these people, like, for example, a lot of the people that we have assembled here, I feel are like this, where they're actually impactful for some of these kids. Like, why are we not able to recognize some of those things? And maybe like with people like you or Max, another guy that I think of, like, I remember being a kid and not having resources like you guys, right? Like for you, I came to, like I said before, I'd come to one camp at the end of the summer. I wasn't doing like ongoing training with you all the time. So it's not like I had a steady influence of Coach Andy, right? And like, I see how rare that is. And I see people like you, because you've said this before, like, I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of dealing with all of the stupid shit that I have to deal with when I'm sitting here actually trying to do a good thing. I'm actually trying to help them and make them better and spend the extra time and care, and I don't know that I don't know what it takes. I don't know even what I'm asking, if I'm asking anything, but just something to pay attention to when you're going through whatever it is, whether it's a school or sport or whatever. Like, actually identify when you have a situation like that where you feel like someone is really impacting you or your kid, because it's not going to happen very often, man. And you don't want to drive good people out of these things that really are going to influence your kids, man, because just for society in general, like, you don't want people to grow up and be losers. And the way that happens is by having good people mentor and influence and teach the kids, right? And so, like, quit driving us out of youth sports, man. Like, quit driving us out of wanting to teach and be in roles where we have to deal with all your stupid shit. Like, it gets frustrating after a while having the same arguments and conversations and all that stuff. And then you sit here and have this beautiful monologue about what you're trying to do to help these kids. And like, at the end of the day, you still have to deal with the parent coming down trying to give you the side eye because they're mad at you for some reason. It's like, it's really super frustrating. And that was like kind of my bring it home thing at the end of it, is just like, just check what's going on around you, man, because there's not that many good people that you're going to be able to really learn from And for the parents, because they're the ones that listen, there's not that many really good people that are going to be around your kids. There really isn't, you know? So like try to find who those people are and not piss them off, man. Right? Like, because they're going to be the ones that end up being most impactful. When you ask your kids in 20 years, who are the people that really influenced you? That's the person that they're going to say. And if you drive that person away before they actually have enough time to influence your kid, that's a shame, man. You know? So not to
Yeah, no, it's like people don't care how much you know, or they don't remember you from what you know necessarily. They remember how you made them feel, right? That's the truth. Like as a coach, if you always remember that, if you can, what all your knowledge is, it's good. Like it's good, and it's important. And some of that might be the thing that they don't know they remember. It's just there. They think it's came from somewhere, but what they do remember is how you made them feel, right? And so for me, Mr. Rose did it two different ways. One, he had expectations on me. If I wasn't good enough, he said, "You're better than that." On and off the ice. I was standing in a smoker's pit one day, and he almost puked right in front of me. Pulled me, said, "What's going on? You can't be that guy." I said, "No, it's whatever." And then the other way is, I remember how he made me feel, and one of it was not. It wasn't. Doesn't mean it's good or bad, but he made me feel. This is what I remember. Had expectations. If it wasn't good enough, because he thought so. If it wasn't good enough, or if it wasn't good enough in his eyes, he would let me know. And he would just straighten me right out. That's not good enough. You need to be better. So is that bad? Because a lot of parents would take that the wrong way, right? Is that bad? No, that's a compliment. You could be better, and that's how I took it. It's like, no, I have expectations from you. You're not just some guy, man. You right?
yeah,
You're not just,
not just some guy.
well, I'm not just some
I'm
guy.
not just some guy.
No, but you're not just some guy. You're Eric, man. You're Eric. There's no Eric, and that's just truth. You can say that about anybody, but it was true. Whether it's, but he was sincere, right? You're better than that. So, oh, you're better than that. I didn't hear that a lot from a lot of people. How many people do hear that? So expectations was one thing. That was great. So I remember he had expectations from me. One, you're going to carry the team. One, you're going to be a leader. One, you're going to work hard. One, you're going to be a good example off the ice. Blah, blah, blah. It was like, if I lacked in anything, he'd straighten me right out. Thank you, Mr. Rose. Thank you. The other thing was he would straighten me out off ice, right? Caught me in the smoker's pit. I wasn't smoking. Maybe. I was young, right? I was in the smoker's pit because I hung out with all the headbangers, right? All the metalheads and stuff like that. That's the music. I still love it. Volbeat. I was listening to tunes yesterday. Anyways, he saw it and he almost puked right in front of me. And he walked by. Andy, said, "Mr. Rose," I wasn't ashamed. Practice that night or the next night it was. He pulled me aside. He goes, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You can't be in the smoker's pit. I don't care if you were smoking, not smoking." He goes, "You can't hang around with those people. He put those expectations." He goes, "That's not good for you." And he was like, "Oh, okay." So how did he make me feel? He made me feel like he cared about me. So he had expectations, and he made me feel like might want to be accountable, and he made me feel like I was worth, I guess, worth making good decisions. Fair enough. Like, and you think about that, how many people do it? And that's what I said about those kids this morning, or our kids here. It's like those are the things I want, because like without Mr. Rose doing that stuff, would I ever have believed in myself? That's what a coach, a teacher that has an influence does, right? They make you feel like, okay, I'm somebody, like I'm actually somebody. And I think that's most people's that have mentors, that's what they do to them. They actually bring out your best. So when I have the kids on the ice and I say that, like I did this morning to them, it's like you didn't care enough today, guys. You should. You just need to care. If you care, then things are better and you get to make those choices. And if that's something that sticks with them, and why would I say that to them? Because I care about winning, or because I want to be the best coach? It has nothing to do with being the best coach. It's about, and the wonderful thing is you get the people that maybe even seem very resistant because they're 13, 14, 15, and they're the smart asses and all that stuff. They melt. Not because you want them to, but it's like their guard comes down, because at some point when you're coaching them and you truly do care and you're giving them little things and you show them, like I said, what Mr. Rose did, is it gives you expectations that it's not good enough and you're better than that. they know that you actually care about them. And when people actually know that you care about them, then they let you in a little bit to teach them. And then you become valuable. But then I'm not saying this in a bad way, but then they go home and they're not necessarily going to tell their parents that. They just know when they see me, for example, I'm not saying you or anyone else. They know when they see me that I'm going to have a smile, I'm going to have energy, and I'm going to actually want them to get better.
Mm-hmm. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, is you don't get paid extra for that. That is just what you do, and that's that rarity that I'm talking about, so not to get on my soapbox for too long there, but I think that's all I have to say for today. So I'm going to shut her down. Okay, goodbye.
A lot of stuff today, though, dude.
Yeah, I know. This is good. Okay, bye.